So, quick recap.
What did you talk about?
So, just to recap.
What did we talk about?
Oh, what happened? What happened? What happened?
But at this rate, we'll have to recap the recap.
I don't remember anything.
Oh, yeah, what you talking about? Well, actually, we talked about you.
But at this rate, we'll have to recap the recap. Recap the recap. Recap the recap. Recap the recap.
It does get to be too much stuff.
It does.
Good evening, all of our wonderful listeners and fans, subscribers, paying and non-paying alike. Good evening.
Oh my goodness. Hey everyone. So Danny was scrolling through, I don't know which one of our things, probably TikTok, because that's his big
TikTok,
thing.
TikTok.
I always tease that my husband's love language is TikTok.
Oh my gosh.
Because he'll send me videos, video.
Oh,
It's like,
man.
did you
He
look at
sends me a
those
lot,
yet?
too.
Oh my goodness.
That's so funny, man.
It's a new language, I am telling you. But yeah, I heard you doing your Klaus Schwab impersonation, and I just started busting up.
I gotta post
It's
them,
funny
man.
because every time I hear myself, I'm like, oh, that's me. Like flipping, scrolling, or
Yeah.
if Danny's scrolling through his Facebook or whatever, and I'm like, oh. But when I hear you do your Klaus Schwab, that is one of my favorite things. It always
Very
tickles
nice.
me so
Klaus
much.
Schwab. I still gotta buy my bald cap. All right, guys. Sorry, we're coming back to reality real quick here.
Oh,
I'm going to give you guys a 411 real quick about how this episode's going to play out. It is going to be even less traditionally weird than you guys are accustomed to with us. We were really scratching our brains almost physically at trying to bend over backwards and figure out what we were going to make our next episode about and how we were going to make our next episode. And we really were feeling inconclusive. I was really seeking the Lord, which is something that Shelley and I both had talked about, feeling like we'd been kind of neglecting and far from God, which is not good when you're talking about a bunch of weird stuff all the time. You really need to keep yourself centered and in the Word.
right. Yep.
And in prayer, even more so. And I really felt the Lord just kind of laying on our heart that we needed to talk about stuff that we've already chatted about, a bunch, like just tons of topics that we've already been over, maybe just kind of hit the main points. Tell you guys some of our plans for what we're thinking through the rest of this year and the coming year, which is crazy. Holy moly. I can't believe we've been doing this for,
wow.
what? This is month 9 now that we've been doing this. So that's very exciting. So we're just going to kind of go over some stuff that we have previously dealt with, and then we're going to, just talk about things that we're envisioning, and then topics that we want to talk about. And if you guys want to give us feedback, you are welcome to give us feedback.
Heck yeah. If there's a topic that somehow we missed and you want to talk about it, let us know it. And I know we have some interesting ones. I know one of our viewers wants us to talk about Enneagrams, and so I am looking into Enneagrams because they have really become a part of church culture in America over the last 20 years. I mean, I've taken plenty of personality profiles, which is what an Enneagram is, the fancy word for personality profiles.
I didn't know that. I thought it was something totally different.
I don't think that they're necessarily
Demonic.
demonic, although there's some stuff. There's some history there that might make me really I might really reevaluate and come out from this deep dive thinking differently. But one thing I'll say that I believe about Enneagrams is that they give us an out. They give us a, oh, well, that's just my nature. It's just how I am.
Sure.
And you know what? If your
course.
nature goes against God's word, change it.
Which your nature probably does go against God's word.
Of course it does. Man, we are sinful creatures.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things too that we're looking into is Enneagrams. So and I think, was it Ash who wanted to talk about the Enneagrams?
I believe it was Ash, yeah.
I think
right.
it was Ash who was talking about
Hey,
it.
Ash, you're awesome. Woo!
You really are.
Yeah. You really are.
And it's really cool. We've got a lot of people giving us ideas of, hey, could we talk about this? Hey, could we talk about that? And that's exactly what we want. We definitely will put it on the agenda.
So totally, it's exciting to me because you guys are interested in hearing what we think about these things, but also putting you guys' own selves in a position where you guys can kind of further evaluate this stuff, which is very cool. Which is kind of the point, right? This is the whole reason we really started this podcast, which I almost am ready to retitle Ministry, frankly, because that's the way I view it. I think that's the way we both view it, really.
No, we definitely do. This is, Rick and I were just talking with our pastors, and talking with our pastors about some of the content like that we talk about here, and our pastors' views on things, and it's really pretty cool. But we were talking about how our pastors teach to the bell curve. They teach to the 80% bell curve, and we have a ministry. Their ministry is to the bell.
20% that don't want to conform.
We are the outliers. That's right. We are the outliers, and I love outliers. I mean, I don't like how it skews data for all of you statisticians who enjoy that type of thing. The outliers throw everything off, but we're what makes life interesting, in my opinion. I like the outliers. That's where all of the flavor comes into life, in my opinion. So we do have a ministry to outliers.
Yep, we sure do, man. We are the ministry to the outliers. Let's see. So I just remembered something while you were saying that. Hold on one second, Shell, before I forget it. Okay, cool. I have it written down now. So basically,
Ricky's a lister.
Yes, I am. I have to be. So I am going to go ahead and just do super quick plugins. I'm not going to waste time. Honestly, you guys kind of know. Obviously, you can see at the bottom of the page over there, solo.to/ctdw. Spotify is where you can find us, or YouTube, which I also upload to. Like I said, I do Rumble, but very, very slowly. Haven't done it in months. Because Rumble
Did you say something just showed up of ours on Rumble?
It just showed up on one of our super first
you put that in a post.
I was like, why did this post from Rumble? All right, whatever. I'll take it. Sure. Fair enough. And people were like, oh, you guys should feel fine. Holly was like, you should not feel bad about your opinions. I was like, I don't feel so bad about my opinions. But that was one of the early ones. I don't know why. It just like came over from Rumble. That's super weird. So you guys can find us there, solo.to/ctdw. You can find all of our stuff, all of our plugins, Facebook, YouTube. You can find Spotify. You can find Twitter, which is now X. You can find TikTok, and you can find Instagram. All of those you can follow. Also, we are in the process of doing our merch. By the time this is uploaded, I'm hoping you guys are already watching this and voting for which self-titled logo, the Christian Theological Dark Web podcast, you like, because that's what's going to go on shirts and stickers, and potentially later in the later in the progression of merchandise, hopefully hats and all that good jazz as well.
Definitely.
So we're excited about that.
I cast my vote. I voted.
Yes,
I went
did.
and I did.
Toxic Ooze. You voted for Toxic
It is
Ooze.
the one I like.
You better.
It's definitely.
You better believe I voted for the dark blue, which is the one I've been using in all of our clips. Anyway, we're gonna go and get started, guys. Really, we're just gonna have some fun today. Remember some old things that have been going on, and then talk about some things that are on the horizon, like I've mentioned. So, without further ado, Shell, would you like to begin? We're just going to talk about some past stuff, and I know that you have one that's on your mind and heart, and we're going to be looking into.
I think, man, I don't know if I want to start with why the snake, or if I want to do a real quick recap on terminology.
Ooh. Well, you know me. I'm always into. I mean, those kind of tie together if we think about it.
I mean, they kind of do. I guess we'll go terminology, and know we're going to get to the snake or the serpent, because I really feel better calling him a dragon than I do
Sure.
a snake.
I'll get to use my my Voldemort voice once again. So that's
you
always
will.
Good. That's always good.
So guys, we're still reading. Rick and I were just talking about swapping books when we finish the ones that we are currently reading.
The 5 or 6.
Oh my gosh, right? I was like, I'm reading this book right now. I was telling my friend Lorraine, who really is our #1 fan. She has been with us since the beginning. She prays for us. She's my personal friend who goes to my church. So she is #1.
Yeah,
we talk a lot, and she was she was telling me how she's listening to one of our episodes, and I think she said it was the 3rd one in our Nephilim series, and she said, you said something really good about aliens, but I don't remember what right now. And I was like, I didn't even remember that episode talked about aliens. So
so funny. Yeah, I know. I really don't either, but I'm glad it helps.
Me too. And you know what? I need to go back and re-listen to them too, because it's like when you write. If you're a writer, you write things down, and then you go back and look at them, weeks, months, years later sometimes, and you're like, wow, I was actually really good. I remember nothing about this. That's my handwriting. That's even like my voice and the way I write, but I didn't remember anything about that.
Yeah.
That was really good. And that's how it is too with listening to our own podcast.
For sure, man.
I'm like, oh, that was good. That was good. And it's like when you listen to your own playlist and you're like, I love this song. I love this song. It's your playlist. Of course you do. But
this is my favorite.
Nonetheless, nonetheless, that's what it's like going back and listening to our podcast. It's like, oh, we said some good stuff and I totally forgot about it.
There it is.
So let's see. To recap, we began with the first book we read, kind of together. We kind of did almost a Bible study on it together.
It was a really good book, man.
It was. Oh, it was called Praying Like Monks,
Living Like Fools.
Living Like Fools. So good. By that guy whose name was Tyler Staton.
Just like that.
Yep. Which the Tyler part's always, but we talked about that. How I mix up Taylor and Tyler. Anyway. Good book. Recommend.
Great book. Totally recommend.
We probably should reread it again soon, because it's a great refresher on how to pray. Oh yeah, we should have him on.
Oh, we should make that disclaimer, right? If you guys are, wondering, are these guys ever going to have anybody on? I know that it's like the trendy thing to have people on your podcast now to grow the podcast, and I'm not against that, but we have really felt from the Lord to just kind of sit, hibernate, and just kind of not hibernate, incubate. Sorry, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yep.
incubate for the rest of this year, and then start off with a bang. And the hope is once a month, maybe once every 2 months, to have somebody else on. That's going to really depend, right? Like, just time constraints for Shelly and I, and income and stuff like that. But that's the goal. That's the goal. And actually starting off the year right. I would ask you guys to please pray. I am planning to go to Mexico. We're trying to find flights that are a decent price, because taking 2 kids and a whole family of 4 is expensive flying anywhere right now. It's insane. And then flying during Christmas is even crazier. So we're trying to get flights. And my point in saying that is that I'm trying to get an interview with a pastor that I know down in Mexico City, who pastors a metal and punk rock church. And I think that will be an absolutely freaking awesome first interview. Mm-hmm. I will spend copious hours doing subtitling, I'm sure, but
I'm sure
hopefully AI will help me out a little bit. So yeah, but it'll be good. It'll be good.
Yeah. So God said this year, just figure out how you're doing this, and He'll bring the people. We do have another opportunity in the works as well. Mm-hmm. And they would like to have already done the crossover, but we're not at that place yet. God did not give us green light, so we are not going yet. And we really enjoy their podcast, and that's with the guys who do Dig Bible podcast. And so if you have not listened to them, they're a hoot.
Go dig in.
Go dig in. You can't lean on a shovel and expect the hole to dig itself. I really like them.
Good stuff.
And we definitely do have plans, but you know what? I mean, come on, guys. We are small fries, and it's okay. I don't think we mind being small fries. If God uses us at all, then it was time. That's what we're going for here.
Yeah.
So
terminology. Bring you back. Sorry.
Yep. So we'll go back to terminology here. We talk about the Nephilim a lot, and a lot of people, are like, what is the Nephilim? What are demons? What are the fallen? What is all of this? And so we really broke it down. Mm-hmm. There is the elder race of, we call them angels, guys. There are more accurate terms for them.
You know me, Michelle. B'nai Elohim, sons of God, to me is about as plain Jane as it's going to get. That really just, in my mind, really encompasses an entire race of beings, because angels obviously fall under that rubric. Seraphim, all those bad boys, those guys all really fall under that. They are our elder brothers, and in our mind,
the first
elder
created
brothers exclusively, right? We've talked about this.
Right, male only.
Yes.
But it's easier for modern day English speakers to think of them as angels. Yeah. And that's fine. Angels works. There are 2 groups of angels, because there are several different classes, and you know what? Angelology is not my thing. As a matter of fact, we're kind of warned against it in the Word of God. So I think it's fine to know that there are cherubim, seraphim, I don't know, the archangels, and I don't know.
Angels in general.
Those are the ones I know of. But there are angels who have retained their place in their original estate. Their what is the Greek word for that? I want to say,
we've talked about that too.
I can't think of the name.
No.
Almost. So also what's coming to my head is the name of that stupid Greek yogurt.
Oikos, or what is it?
Oikos.
Yeah.
Oikos. I don't know, whatever. Anyhow, I can't even with the words. But Jude talks about the angels who left their natural estate. And we commonly call those the fallen angels. I think
Chorion? Is that it? Is that what you're thinking of?
no, it starts with
just
an O.
Oh. Okay, I'll find it. I'll find it in a minute.
You'll find it in the
Okaterion.
book of Jude.
Okaterion. That's what we're looking for. Yeah, that's what we're looking for.
That is the word. Their natural estate, their
Yes.
natural way of being.
Yep.
They left their niche that they were made for, basically. And we commonly call them the fallen, fallen angels. They're the angels who sinned.
Yeah. What was the term that we used? The banished, right? We refer to them as the banished, the ones that
they're
chose
the
to leave their
banished.
state.
Trying to think. Right now, they're not all banished. We know that Hillel ben Shakur is not banished. The one we refer to most commonly as Satan. Lucifer, Hillel. He's still up in heaven. He still goes before the throne of God, accusing us. That's why he's called the accuser of the brethren. But we know the day is going to come when Michael, the archangel Michael, is going to cast him out, and heaven is going to be barred to him. And that really is during the end times. That's what Revelations chapter 13.
Michael,
yeah, Michael. It means who is like the Lord or who is like God. It's the only name I know of that's a question. Cool name, Michael. Good name. But so there are the angels who sinned, and there are angels still in their rightful estate, and both of them are on this planet. Paul refers to them as principalities, powers, spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms for the fallen ones, and I imagine then there are principalities and powers and spiritual forces of good in the heavenly realms as well.
Yeah,
because there are the tiers of angels, and they exist still, both good and bad, and they're in this world. The word tells us it'll give imperatives like, and you angels who do his bidding in Psalms, let everything that has breath praise the Lord, and talk about people praising the Lord, and animals praising the Lord, and the angels who do his bidding praising the Lord. And so that's an accurate term, but I don't think we have a very hard time with angels. I think that plenty of Christians have a skewed understanding of angels. Oh, I have a personal, what do they call it? My guardian angel. I don't know if that's the case.
Send me an angel.
Oh, gosh. I don't know. The person who sings that either does not know what they are asking for, or is fearless, man, because everybody who comes into contact with angels is like, what?
No. They definitely don't know what they're thinking of.
Oh,
they're thinking of the
no.
Nikes. That's what they're thinking of.
The winged angels.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They're
There's
like, it's just gonna flow down. Yeah, maybe come down in a
Right.
spaceship more than you. Maybe, don't know.
okay. So of the angels, God set up a divine council. Go back, watch our whole divine council series. We'll definitely do more of it. Ricky's currently reading reading The Unseen Realm by Dr. Michael S. Heiser. Rest
None
his
other
soul.
Then
Lucky man.
the OG man.
He
I
is
can't.
an OG.
I was literally
for
talking to my
sure.
pastor when we were talking that day in particular about. And by the way, my shout out to my pastor, Pastor Juan. If you're watching, man, thanks for supporting us,
One
buddy.
in a million.
Juan in a million. And he was talking. I asked him. I was like, "Do you know who Chuck Missler is?" And he goes, "I do." And I went, "Oh, dude, that makes me like 20,000 times happier to talk to you right now. So I'm just like hoping that one day we'll be able to. I know that we always think of like the titans of the faith, right? Like we think of Paul and we think of Moses and we think of Noah and we think of all these people, right? But I'm like,
Enoch,
dude,
man.
I can't wait to show up and talk to Chuck Missler and freaking Michael Heiser, man. That's so
Right.
awesome. So I didn't get a chance to talk to him while he was still here, so he's gone now, and I'll get to talk
I
to him
know.
on the
I
other
look
side.
forward to C.S. Lewis as well. To talking with
Yes,
Jack, man, I do.
Tolkien, man.
There are people that I'm looking forward to. You
That's
know
cool.
what? I'm looking forward to talking to my great grandfather
Yeah, man. Yeah,
because
good stuff.
he is who in my family
Hmm.
converted from Judaism to Christianity, and
Oh,
in
wow.
my family history, he is the man who was up praying while it was still dark before he went
Oh, that's awesome.
to take care of the farm. He's a Russian wheat farmer. But his prayers, when the word
That's
says
crazy.
that I will bless you, and your children and your children's children and generations yet unknown, that's what that is for me. This is my
Hmm.
great grandfather who I never met, whose prayers have affected my life.
That's awesome,
I
man.
can't wait. Yeah, dude, I'm like excited about that.
That's very
It's
exciting.
weird. I'm such a weird person. I am so excited about things I'm gonna do in heaven.
You're
Like,
having a podcast with me. Of course, you're
I know,
weird.
right? People have bucket lists, and I have like my heaven list already, man. I'm like, these are the things I want to do when I'm in heaven. I can't wait.
I know, man.
But back to recapping. Um, so the angels, fallen
Divine Council,
angels,
right? That's what we're talking about.
divine council.
Yeah, we'll get back to it
So
as well.
I don't know, when they were sent to the earth, they were sent to show us the way to Yahweh. They
Mm.
were sent to teach us, and so many of them had fallen, that Psalm 82, God is really ticked off, and he says, even though
Imagine
you
that.
are gods, little g gods, you will die as men. And so that's another name of the angels. They are the little g gods. I know that we're
You will die like men.
monotheistic.
As you were.
We are there's another name for people who are polytheistic and choose to only worship one god, but I don't remember what it is. But we consider ourselves monotheistic.
I mean,
I consider the light.
pagan.
Because there's only one. No, there's another. It's
I
something
know,
theistic,
I
but I
know. There's
don't
a
remember
specific
what
word.
it
I'm
is.
just being
Jewish
facetious.
pain. Um, but we're not as monotheistic as we think we are. The Bible definitely says that there are other gods,
You know,
and not just idols,
yeah.
not just statuey things that have
Hmm.
no life in them and have to have a mouth opening ritual or ceremony happen in
That's
order
what we
for
need.
them.
We need to have a talk about that, by the way.
Oh yeah. I guess we've
We've not talked on that.
we've
We'll get to
discussed
that.
that it exists, but we've not gotten into
Yeah.
it. Yeah, we will. Man, there's so much
If
still to
you
discuss.
could only see this page, it looks like madness. It's like
I
freaking
bet.
mad scientist over here, man. I got so many things. Okay.
Um.
I was gonna say,
Anyhow,
um,
little. Okay, go.
little G gods. No, I'm just gonna riff
Little
off
G
of what you're
gods.
saying. Where I was. Now am I gonna forget what I was gonna say? Probably. Keep going. Maybe I'll remember
Okay.
it.
Okay, you'll get there. These little G gods like Baal, Marduk,
I know.
Ishtar, Ashtaroth, they're legit. They were supposed to show us the way to the Father, and instead they decided they like to be worshipped instead. So another name
That's
for the fallen is little G gods.
that's where I'm hopping in right there. Shell and I were having a discussion about, like, is this, and I think we're okay to talk about it here. If not, Shell, I'll edit this out.
No,
But we were
no
just
worries.
talking about whether or not were these gods worshipped. You know, is there something to it? God says, "Don't put any more before me," but does that have an
We're
alternate meaning?
we're the non-fallen.
Yeah, and this is actually something
as gods as well. We were talking about this.
Yes, and we specifically in the moment chose to kind of keep that personal. There's stuff that Shell and I will talk about that we agree or disagree, or slightly both agree, and we're like, I don't think this is a time to really share that. And so I think we're at a place now where we can share it. But really, Shell was like, well, I mean, is there something to this? God says, don't put any gods before me, obviously, right? I mean, he demands to be the sovereign, right? He demands to be the highest level up, right? El Elyon, right?
And he is the most high God.
He is.
Heck yeah.
And so we were debating, or just not even debating, just kind of like thinking, trying to think through things, well, is there anything else to worshiping these little g gods? And go to the source. I went to God and I go, so what's the deal? Is this a thing, or like? And God's like, no, it's not. And I go, well, why not? And he goes, because some gods were made not to be worshipped, or rather, gods were made not to be worshipped except me. And I went, that makes sense, which is weird because when you think of the word God or deity, your instant reaction is there's something to worship there. How very foreign that our Bible teaches us, yes, there are other gods. No, they're not for worshiping. Whoa.
Right.
That's
because that's
cool
right. They're messengers. They were supposed to be pointing. They were supposed to be doing our job right now, what we are doing, pointing the way to the Father.
But
that's
instead,
what they were supposed to be doing. At least some of them. I don't know if any of the princes over other nations, if any of them are godly. I don't know. I know the Prince of Persia isn't. I know the Prince of Greece isn't. According to what the Bible says about them, I know that those.
Well, you wonder, Shell. I mean, the Prince of the Americas, right? And I'm specifically referring to North America. I mean, look at how many tribal peoples are like way more godly than the early settlers that came here. I mean, when
they talked about the Creator, the Creator.
They had communion
God
with the Most High, and their terminology is just so reflective of the Word of God. It's stunning, really. It's really stunning to see. I mean, it shouldn't be, but it is very stunning because we're human and fallible and weak and small-minded. But God is like, dude, I don't need you guys to go proselytize. I'm using you because I choose to, but if I want to be known, I will be known by all peoples. So,
yes, you will.
Anyway, yeah. Sorry, just kind of riffing off your
man
thought
in
there.
white or otherwise. Nope, I agree with you. That is good. So, little g gods.
Little g gods.
Bring in the next level of beings, the mixture of humanity with these angels, the fallen ones, the ones specifically. And if you read Jude, and I encourage you to, it's a chapter. It's not a long chapter. It is a book that you don't need to know what chapter it is. You just need to know the verse.
With stuff in a
heck
tiny
yeah,
space.
man!
It is like,
and it's
pick that bad boy apart.
It really probably is my favorite book of the Bible. I really like the book of Jude, and I always have. And I think it's super cool because Judas, choose the iteration of his name that you want to use, was one of Jesus' brothers. Like one of Jesus' brothers. He was born of the not-so-virgin at that time, Mary.
Yes.
And he followed his brother. He saw his brother as divine. That's a big deal. It's like a really, really, really big deal.
A little bit.
To the point that he was willing to die a heinous death rather than denounce his brother as the Christ. Same with their brother James. I think their brother Simeon, same thing, or Simon. And I'm sorry guys, I'm not totally versed on all of Jesus' siblings. I believe he had 5 brothers and a couple of sisters.
I don't actually remember. He did have a lot of family. I know that.
He did, and they followed him, man. But Jude talks about sexual sins, and he talks about the angels
Extremely explicitly and graphically, to be honest. He's pretty straightforward about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He definitely is. But he talks about the angels who sinned with humankind, with women.
Yeah.
The angels who forsook their natural place. And Jesus tells us that angels in heaven do not marry, do not have sex. He never says they cannot do it. He says they do not do it. And they're already eternal beings. There's no need for them to procreate. And they're eternal.
Yeah. And I would say furthermore, to add to your comment, right? Like, I always enjoy, and I think I've quoted this multiple times, but it's a good referencing point. Is Ravi Zacharias' definition of evil is a violation of purpose, and what clearer explanation of evil than to violate your purpose, which is not to procreate, not to try and further procreate the earth. That was a command given to us, not
right
to the heavenly
to mankind
beings.
And to animals, which all are not. I was going to say are not eternal. I mean, we are and we're not.
Yes. I mean, and
because our spirit is eternal.
I wonder the same thing about animals, man. I really do. Like, I know that people get a.
I do too.
I really mean that. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, they have no soul, and I'm like, but do you really know that? Do you really know that? I mean, maybe their purpose is not to.
And will lay down with the lamb. The Bible talks about animals in heaven,
and there can be some pretty freaking cool animals.
So,
yeah, I don't buy it. I don't. Personally.
Yeah, I guess I do believe all dogs go to heaven.
Oh, that's adorable. That's adorable.
But getting that is his favorite thing, I'm telling you guys. But going back to the angels who left their original estate and procreated with women, the offspring, the Nephilim or the demigods, where the Bible says giants in the land, they were men of great renown. And we're like, well, what does that mean? Oh, they were men of great renown. So that doesn't sound like they were bad. I don't think we've gotten into this yet. This is a topic.
My question about terminology in that respect would be, okay, of great renown, does that mean that they are infamous or famous? And is there such a word for either, right? That
their name has power.
There you go.
That's what it means.
I agree
it means that their name has power, just as Jesus' name has power, and people misunderstand that and think, well, if I use Jesus' name right, like I can do an incantation and get Jesus power if I just say things in the name of Jesus or whatever. That renown, it's more, man, it's more than being able to use a word to gain power from the power in the word.
The authority. Mm-hmm.
There's more to power in a name than I think we understand. But renown is directly tied to that power in the name. So when they were men of great renown, they were powerful entities. They were powerful beings. It's just even like with Nimrod, when Nimrod began to be a Gibberim,
mm-hmm.
he
began to become, right?
Right. It says he was called a mighty hunter in the face of God, like
it's pretty
in God's face.
Hey, by the way, I don't want to say thunder, but you know the word for name in Spanish, right? You'll like this one.
Me amo.
All right, that's I'm called, right?
Okay. No, I don't know.
How would you say my name is? Do you know that one?
No.
Okay.
Mein
the word for-
Name ist. I spoke German, remember?
Well, that's actually pretty close. So the word for name in Spanish is nombre, which is pretty close
Oh,
to
nombre. Yeah, I
nombre.
do know
Okay.
that.
So, what do you think the word for renowned is in Spanish? You'll love this one.
Lombrino. I don't know.
Renombre.
Ray? Nombre?
Renombre, which means renamed, renowned. How cool is that, huh?
That's very interesting and
Very.
also really accurate. That makes sense to me. Yeah.
Anyway,
Good
as
old
you were.
Latin languages.
Oh, you Latins. You Latinos. Yeah, it's
Anyhow, these men of great renown, they were powerful, just as Nimrod was powerful and was called a mighty hunter against the face of God, basically. So they weren't good. As a matter of fact, we get a lot of clues in other historical accounts, Sumerian, Akkadian, Native American. The lores are far-reaching. That these giants caused great havoc on the earth. That they ate. They were cannibals.
In
They
Enoch,
ate man
it talks
when there were
about
no
that.
more men. They ate one another. The evil that was on the earth at the time of Noah wasn't just that man was devising evil in every evil way he could possibly think to evilly.
Thanks, Judah and Enoch. We appreciate you guys. When evil was eviling along the evil. There
It
so
was
much
the
evil.
evilest evil. But that's why God brought the flood. It wasn't to wipe out mankind. It wasn't just because he thought, man, I messed up with mankind.
Yeah.
It was, there is so much evil on this earth. I am taking this small family remnant. I am going to cause clean, undefiled animal specimens to go to the ark.
That's important. That's an important point along this timeline. This whole the whole purpose of us actually talking about the Nephilim and the Watchers. Let me qualify that. Watchers, sons of God.
Oh yeah, we hadn't gotten to Watchers yet.
The word also refers to Watchers as parts of the sons of God, and you can actually reference that if you don't want to use Enoch, which if you're watching our podcast,
Daniel
I'm sure you
and
have
Ezekiel.
probably no problem. But you know that in Ezekiel, I haven't read the one in Ezekiel, but I know for sure I've read the one in Daniel where it says that such and such was a decree of the Watchers. So we're not just pulling it out of a hat here. But the purpose of this is that the evil, the rebellious Watchers that rebelled in the face of God, as you clearly stated with Nimrod, right? Their sin was corrupting the gene pool. Was intentionally corrupting the gene pool. Yep.
All of the gene pool, not just the human gene pool.
Which is why we had to have a flood.
A flood. Right. It wasn't just God mad at mankind. It was much more than that. So, flood comes. All of that. All of the Nephilim, these giants,
These demigods. Yep.
These demigods, they are drowned.
Mm-hmm.
And because they were a hybrid, an evil mixture of the earthbound humanity and spirit beings, the angels, what they were is something stuck outside of heaven forever, never able to enter into heaven. They're stuck on earth. And so
which
what
is such a heinous thing for the Watchers to do. It's so very heinous.
Absolutely. What so a horrible father to know that would be his child's fate and still choose to procreate. It is truly hateful. that is a truly hateful thing.
Yeah. Sure is, man.
Like mind-boggling, and people are like, well, God, why would God do that? You know what God said? Here's the deal. Stay in these lines for a reason.
All you had to do was not mix with the humans. That's all you had to do, guys. Jeez, right? So, anyway.
So those the Nephilim spirits are what demons are today. Or even then, that's what a demon is. A demon is not a fallen angel. Fallen angels are still angels. And they're referred to as principalities, powers, spiritual forces of evil. Spiritual forces of evil. Demons are normally referred to as unclean spirits or demons. Mm-hmm. And they're at a much lower stature than the angels who sin.
Sure.
The ones that were allowed, the ones that aren't in chains in gloomy darkness, as the Bible refers to it. Again, you'll see that in Jude.
Yeah.
So demons and fallen angels aren't quite the same thing. They're in the same family.
To put it plainly, and I think this is super important because people, they mix these up so easily, and they're very easy to mix up if you're a modern Christian.
They're very easy to mix up.
Yeah. Fallen angels, we'll just leave it at that. Fallen angels are completely distinct from demons because demons are the deceased leftover spirit, eternal spirit of Nephilim, which are the demigods created between humans and Elohim, or the fallen angels, the Watchers, or between, as far as I can tell, and what history seems to point to, Elohim, which are the fallen angels, and animals as well, because there certainly seems to be a lot of that going on. So those dead spirits live on, and sorry, just to finish my point, and I'm actually done. The reason, and if you're looking for some justification, if you're not really convinced about this, the reason demons seek bodies is because they were dispossessed from their own. Mm-hmm. Even angels, even sons of God still retained their bodies, but demons were cursed in such a unfathomably cruel way to not have a body. I mean, that's just pretty heinous again.
That is absolutely right. And what Ricky was saying about the corruption of DNA of animals, it seems plausible at the least that that's where we get so much of our blurry creatures, our cryptozoologic animal creature things like the Yeti or Sasquatch, like the mermaid, like the centaur, the minotaur, all of those,
and
all of those mythical.
And to be honest,
beasts.
That's a good point, and not to bash the point, because it is a good point. A lot of those things very likely are residual or intentional current, right? Kind of creatures. Marzulli would say that he thinks that actually that Nephilim are mules, that they can no longer procreate. I don't know that I'm convinced, but I'm also not Ellie Marzulli. But I would also say that I'm also open to the idea that God has just made cryptids that are not evil, or that don't have malicious intent or purpose.
Yeah, I would say that is plausible, right?
The more I've thought about it, and the more I've toyed with the idea, I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, God, we just are about to post a clip tomorrow, right? This is, we don't know what God intended with Yeti, with Bigfoot, right? We don't know, and I'm not here to tell you that I know exactly what he does, but I do know that he takes care of lost children. I mean, there's multiple accounts of this. Right. He also terrifies campers and tries to, destroy their stuff.
He just wants the s'mores, guys.
Right.
Share your marshmallow goodness.
He's a glorified grizzly. How's that for alliteration, huh? That's funny.
Yeah, we're not the Cryptid show. That would be the Blurry
Blurry
Bros,
guys. Blurry creatures.
and they're pretty great. But
Yeah.
that is not us. And that's another thing too, is we like to give shout outs to other podcasts
Super
or
relevant podcasts.
authors that that we follow, that we think have something to say. So we'll always give shouts out to
Faux show.
any of the people that we piggyback any of our information from, because that's very important to us. So there's the difference between the fallen and demons, the Nephilim.
It's a long subject.
I know. I think that we covered that pretty well. And speaking of
Watchers actually now too.
Yes, well, speaking of Watchers, so Watchers comes from the fact that they don't sleep. They are the ones who didn't sleep. That's why they were called the Watchers, because they neither slumber nor sleep.
Right.
So which makes sense. They're eternal beings. They don't need to sleep.
Must be nice.
I guess.
Although I do enjoy sleeping. I won't lie.
I do too, man.
Which I won't get very much of tonight, as it turns out.
My Sunday afternoon naps are bomb.com. I never want to wake up from them. Like, I am a nap. I am a nap fan, brah. So, the Nacash. Well, since we're is still talking about Nephilim, little G gods, divine council, and watchers.
Yep.
Why was the woman not weirded out by the talking
We
serpents?
spent a good while talking about this.
I think it amazes me what modern Christians gloss over. Like, we miss a lot. And maybe it's because church wasn't designed to be an 45 minutes of songs and then, announcements, whatever, and then somebody droning on to you for 45 minutes to an hour. And I love my pastor and I like the teaching, but I get that you can only get so much out of that. You're probably going to get about the same amount of growth out of that as you do out of a history lecture at college, to be honest.
Good point.
The church is not for your education, your biblical education. That's not what the church is for. The church is for the edification of the brethren. It is, and that happens through our relationship with one another. That happens with dialogue as we're walking along, following Jesus together.
Mm-hmm. We're having a podcast in the modern day.
We're having a podcast in the modern day. But we gloss over that snake, the talking serpent. Telling Rick, I have a hard time with snake. He wasn't a snake. I really think that he was a dragon. And my pastor and I were talking about that, and he was like, that's what spurred our conversation on Wednesday night. He was like, what do you think about dragons?
Oh, so you had a conversation on Wednesday night as well? It was
with
Wednesday
Vinny, and
night.
he was like,
it was Wednesday night of pastor questioning, apparently.
Right.
Where were you on us?
What do you think about dragons? And I was like, oh, you mean the things that sneeze fire and cough smoke, whose bellies are like hot cauldrons and you cannot pierce their hide with a javelin? Those kinds of dragons? Yeah, I totally believe they existed.
Yep.
And I mean, Marco Polo talks about them in his journals. He journals about them when he goes to China. And I don't think it was Komodos.
You and I talk about dragons on Marco Polo together. How about
we
that?
Do. Look at that. Full circle. Marco Polo and dragons all around.
Madness. Absolute madness. I don't know what to say.
But he was talking about that, and I was like, I'm a total I am 100% believer. The way he and Job were talking is the way you and I would talk about an elephant or a zebra or a giraffe. We both know what they are. We're talking about something that we both have seen, we both have experience with, and that is how he is described in Job, not as some mythical thing that Job had no idea. It wasn't an esoteric idea to Job. It was
For sure.
something that he had thrown a javelin at sometime in his life and failed to take down. So,
Let me check this out a minute. Go ahead. I'll come back to it.
Oh, what are you gonna?
Something- Well, I just wanted to mention. Oh, I have to look it up. Duh. I guess I can post it. Just give me a second, guys. What I'm looking for is a really good point that my pastor made. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Beast. It's 3 verse 1. Easy enough. Okay, here we go. Let me pull this.
Oh, the Nacash.
Yes.
The
Nacash
seraph.
indeed. Yeah,
See,
but
but more the term is seraph in Genesis
yep. And actually,
than
go
it
like
is
this.
Nakash there.
Okay, you can see that, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, literally, I'm just going to read this first verse here. I'm not even going to finish the verse. Now, the serpent was more crafty than any other beast of the field. Full stop.
Right.
Beast. When have you ever heard a serpent named alongside beasts of the field? You haven't.
Not since they've been slithering on their bellies, but when
Right.
they walked along on 4 legs, when they flew on their wings, I am sure that seraph, that serpent was a divine being.
Yeah.
And I think that in his natural estate, he was a fiery one. And we talked about that too. So you can go back. We won't rehash the whole thing. The seraph means fiery. And seraphim, and serpent is literally an alliteration of seraph, which is short for seraphim. A seraph is one. A seraphim, well, not a seraphim, is plural.
Right.
It's
Fiery
multiple
ones.
of these fiery angelic beings. They're seraphim. They're one of the levels of angels. But all that to say that Adam and Eve inhabited different dimensions than we do. They inhabited our dimensions as well, but they inhabited some of those other 10, 11 dimensions that make up reality. And I think when they sinned, I was telling Ricky, I think when they sinned that they died to the ability to be in some of those dimensions.
It's almost oh, sorry, go ahead.
Including the one that the divine beings like this talking serpent inhabited.
Yeah, and I was going to say it's almost like certain organs of the body died, when they were closed off to these dimensions. I should say, I include myself, right? When we were closed off to
We
these
just haven't
dimensions.
experienced them to know what we're missing out.
Yeah, and we do get glimpses, right? We get glimpses
Right.
for sure.
Right. And because we're not inhabitants of them, because it's not our norm, they're bizarre.
Yeah.
And then you hear things like Joe Rogan and his psilocybin. These guys, in essence, acid trips. They're going to other planes, or they're opening themselves up to other dimensions and other planes. It doesn't sound like it's very pleasant.
Well, he constantly says, "You want to go meet God?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I mean, that's essentially correct. I wouldn't say it's, sovereign being like
I
we're
don't want to
thinking of,
meet.
but
I don't want to meet gods, and I don't want to meet my God in this form
well,
because I know what that looks like.
we
That
wouldn't
looks
meet,
like woe is me.
we wouldn't meet our God in this form. We would be instantly evaporated in his presence.
Right. When we
So,
meet him face to face, it's going to be different, and
woo,
psilocybin is not going to be a part of it.
it's gonna still suck.
But and so that brings us to another thing that we want to talk about in the near future, and that is the pineal gland.
Oh, see, I
That's one of those things,
don't have anywhere to write anymore.
right? I don't know anything about the pineal gland except that everything that I see it associated with is New Agey, and most of it comes right out of the Hindu practices of yoga.
Well, and to be fair, I think that it is. I have told you many times, and I don't know a ton more than you do, but I know a little bit. And as far as I've ever seen, it to me seems more like a spiritual antenna. Like I think it's literally a mediator between our bodies and every other spiritual aspect that exists. Now, just like any other tool, you can use, abuse, and misuse that tool, right? I mean, you can use a tool. It's sort of like
Right,
you
right.
can take a hammer and you can open a door with it, but it's not what the hammer's for, right? Like it
Right,
works,
right.
but so we definitely want to get into it. Were you just going to mention it, or did you want to?
Yeah, no, I'm just going to mention it because I
Okay.
honestly still know nothing, nowhere near enough about it to
Oh,
even speak of it.
I
But
remember.
it is one of the things that is on our 2024 list to talk about.
Um, so I was going to mention before we jump off there, we don't really have to stick around here very long, but I just think it's interesting that I brought it up to you before we were chatting, before we jumped on, excuse me, that Nacash, which is the word, right, for serpent.
Right, right, right.
I thought it was very interesting that the word Nagini, if there's any of you, uh, Gen, what are we, Gen? I guess I'm Gen. What am I? Gen
I'm Gen X,
X.
or that's what I
I
am.
don't know. I don't know if you and I fall in the same category. Anyway, I'm right around your
Oh,
generation or at the
because you're
end of it.
mid-80s, so it is possible. You
Yeah,
might still be a
I'm
Gen
85.
Xer.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I'm right around there.
You're one of those cusp babies.
Yeah, and Nagini is the name of Voldemort's pet snake, and it's interesting to me that Nagini. We looked it up. It actually is from in as far as religion goes. It's
Oh, look, it's
Indian.
also Hindi.
Yeah, it's Hindi, right? Exactly. But it was interesting to me that Nakash is, well, Nagini, I should say, is at least the first syllable. Actually,
Right.
technically, could be the first two syllables. Um,
Sorry, y'all.
match. You're good. Match right up with Nakash because the C is just a G without vocalization. What do I mean? I can say Nakini or I could say Nagini, and I'm pronouncing it in the exact same place. So
Right.
it's probably just a deterioration or alteration kind of
Well, and you
deviation.
know what? Honestly, again, this goes back to all the things we've talked about that we have forgotten all the details, because what we do is we go in and we research, heavy research on the very specific things, and so they're all fresh in our brain, kind of like math right before the exam for
Yeah.
that section of math you're
You're saying
learning.
we cram.
We do. And then we
We do cram.
forget some of the things.
Yeah.
But we have the serpent and the seed, and we talk at
At
length
length.
about the various dragon beliefs
Oh,
in
that's right. We sure
in
do.
different cultures and societies.
Dang.
We get into all the different words for the serpents and Nakash, and all of the different names for the dragon gods in the different cultures.
Yeah, you're
So
right. Holy
all
moly.
of that is previous episodes.
I forgot all about that.
So
It's like with grammar or something.
I know. Go on back and check it out. We did talk about we did explain it.
Oh my gosh.
An episode or so.
Shamana pressure. I don't know where I've heard that before. Oh wait, yes I do. So moving on from here, I think we're going to kind of talk about our views on aliens, which is
hey, it goes right there along still with the whole
it sure does.
The Fallen and Nephilim. And you know what? We've not really gotten into aliens and what our views are in depth. So that is something that we will look to finish out in 2023.
Good God. I don't have any more space. Aliens. And then also we will be talking about, I'll get back to aliens in 2 seconds, but we're also going to be looking at transhumanism real quickly here.
Oh, we will, because they go
we
fist
might
and
hit
glove.
that before the year's up. I'm not going to lie. We probably should.
Really trying. We have been meaning to the whole aliens.
Well, one of our shirts / stickers is going to be that
Our very first
dealing with
one.
that. So yeah. So going on aliens, I guess I'll just kind of jump into this real quick. Shell and I had a long talk about this one. We were really trying to figure out our beliefs and thoughts about what aliens are. I would say hands down, aliens are hybrids. I mean, I would say they're what we would have called Nephilim, or what we can loosely call Nephilim. Nephilim technically is just another word for hybrid, being really honest.
So some hybridization between human and angelic.
Human angelic,
DNAs.
or again, I insist, animal and angelic, or maybe plant and
or
angelic,
possibly
for that matter. I mean,
all of the above. And we
material.
have talked about that to some degree,
Yes,
especially
we
in
sure
like
have.
our CosmoVision about the alien incursions.
And it's important for us to establish that, you and I had a lot of talks about this, and for a long time, everybody, and I don't think neither you nor myself at this point take the traditional aliens or demons route. I don't buy
they're
that.
demonic.
They're partially
but
demon.
they're not demons.
They're partially demon.
And there's a difference when we say demonic, we mean it in the
Malignant sense.
in the Greek meaning of unclean
Deimos.
spirits.
Yeah.
They have their root in it. Yeah, kitty air there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But what I mean is that most people, they say aliens are demons, and they mean aliens are demons, and it's like
And there's no physicality to
correct
to
the phenomenon.
The phenomenon, yeah.
And there absolutely is. There absolutely is physicality to the phenomenon. Guys, it's not even a debatable thing anymore unless you just decide to be ignorant. And I mean ignorant in the true sense of the word. You choose not to be informed on it, then that's that's your problem. But there are crash sites where things have been recovered. There are whistleblowers going on record daily, all the time.
We reverse engineer stuff. We have all of these huge leaps
Correct.
of technology, and while we would like to think it was because there's some superior humans among us, the reality does not back that up.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And it's so important that you can say, I don't believe anyone right now. I'm like, I've seen people talk about these individuals, and they are like literally in grave danger of speaking about these things coming forward. So I am inclined to believe that evidence, to be really honest.
And honestly, all of that, there's a reason that it matters, and it's not just because it gets clicks and it's interesting. Although it is, there is a great deception coming. The Bible is ridiculously clear about it, and we are supposed to be aware of the signs of this, because if it's possible, even the very elect will be deceived. And I don't want to be deceived. I don't want to get to heaven and have God be like, I gave you the warning, sis.
I gave you the signs. What are you gonna do with it, huh? So.
Right. What I have to do, send you a helicopter?
So it's important to say that, it's a complicated issue, and I still continue to largely believe that it is a immaterial and material phenomenon that is happening on a Deimos scale, right? And I mean on a Antichrist scale. So what is going on is not a godly phenomenon. It is a real phenomenon. There are real crafts, and I think Shell and I
have an agenda.
There is an
agenda. And that's where we go with aliens into transhumanism, for that matter.
I think both Shell and I are of the idea now that it makes a lot more sense that, it's something we have to explore later on, and there's an individual I really want to interview about it, which we'll get to in the future, that the misunderstanding about angelic or heavenly beings, sons of God, whatever you want to call them, is that they fly around with...
he's mean. He's...
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's my damaged one that his mother cast him off when he was a day old. So
he looks sweet.
Did you see him spite me?
Did he really? Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Get out of here, jerk.
He's super bipolar. Poor baby. I mean, he's a cat, so he really is.
Oh crap! What was I saying? Oh, there is some very clear reason to believe that angels are... Well, first of all, angels are not these winged creatures for the most part that we
no way,
picture
man.
them in the Bible. That's
we
super
definitely
important to say.
got that from pagan sources such as Nike.
Pagan,
big
sources,
time.
And religious practice. And so it's important to recognize that more than likely, and what seems very likely, is that angelic creatures travel in what you and I would call spaceships.
Right.
And
there were vehicles, and the only vehicle at the time when the word was written was chariots. Thus, they are referred to as fiery chariots and horses. That's why Elijah was taken up in a fiery chariot, and horses in a whirlwind. So, which really kind of makes you think of a UFO.
You know, all I can think of, I don't know if you've ever watched that movie, but my kids love the original Legos movie. And there's
no, I've not seen any.
There's one of the Legos in the movie, and his name is Benny, but he's just he's an 80s looking astronaut, and so he's kind of like one of those forgotten Legos. But his only gimmick in the whole thing is to build spaceships. So he'll just be like, spaceship, 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 and that's all I can think of. So I'm probably going to edit that in there somewhere. Anyway, just coming to that.
Fun.
Yes. So just leaving you guys with some loose ideas there. We believe that aliens are hybrid, but we also believe that the phenomenon, I think it's a lot more complex than just to say that. I think that there's all sorts of transhumanist things at work. I think that there's also physical, technological creations that are probably being used for demons to inhabit, just like they would inhabit any other body. It's a huge mess, and it's a big subject. But I think largely we touched on the main topics that we adhere to and feel like there's some pretty solid evidence for, to be really honest.
Right.
So from there, I guess we're gonna... Well, we don't want to move into transhumanism because that's going to be a future episode. But
right.
Do you want to talk about the Cosmo stuff? And that's kind of the recap.
I'm good with Cosmo. You know, CosmoVision is something that
It's been on the back burner a little bit lately because we've just been CosmoVision
a little
burned
bit.
out a bit.
Well, we've just been inundated with
Yeah.
life in
Yeah, no
general.
joke. No joke.
But for CosmoVision, what was our first Cosmo that we did? Ooh, it was the Timcast one on.
Oh yeah, I mean, basically talking loosely about transhumanism, loosely, right?
Yeah, talking about plugging
Living in a
in
pod,
to a
the
VR
Matrix.
and like that. Like I have a physical repulsion to the idea of that, man. And I know there are other people who think it's great. I just think of, oh, there was a book we had to read in middle school about the family who has a, what's it called? Oh gosh, it was almost there. It's called something like the Glade. They have a room and all four walls are like television.
Oh,
And you go in and
that's
it's like
lovely.
you go into, the experience. And I think the name of the story, it's the Glade. It's something like that. And it's funny, I could ask my daughter-in-law because we talked about it not too long ago, and
that sounds
how
familiar.
just creepy it is to me, that we're like there,
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, good stretch. Yeah, that was a good episode.
But yeah, I was gonna say everything. That cat just bit my foot.
Oh,
So yeah, I know he looks cute and sweet, but he is not.
he really does.
He's very broken. When a mommy discards their baby, they have a valid reason for it. But because you're a human, we can intervene, and
Get bitten on our toes
thus I
and
did.
fingers.
And when the cat is in a mood, sometimes he is sweet, sometimes he is not at all.
Sometimes
Anyhow, most of what we say, other than the tangents about bad cats,
meow.
usually have connectivity with each part. I know
You mean
there's
like-
a much better way to say
Like we
it,
kind of
but
weaved. You're talking about synergy. Is that what you're talking about?
We-
They're
well,
synergistic.
more like they're all connected.
Oh,
The whole transhumanism is connected to alienism.
it's
The
kinda
alien
connected to
phenomena, which is connected to the fallen angels, and goes back to how they bartered technology to us for human specimens. I mean, really?
Bruh.
That's that. So there's a common thread in all of this, and we look at it all through the lens of our biblical worldview.
indeed we do.
And-
And go ahead.
That's CosmoVision.
That is
CosmoVision is our biblical worldview, our view of the world.
Yeah.
So
it
we-
is.
We a few
CosmoVision-
months ago. How many
Um,
months ago did we start CosmoVision?
So
May.
CosmoVision was supposed to be like an every week thing. It's pretty new, but we just, like at this point, I'm like, well, if we can do one every week, that's great. Just a podcast in general. I think that's reasonable. So like, because CosmoVision is meant to be more reactive than anything, and just kind of like talking through
Right,
certain
very
ideas that we
current
have.
event driven.
Yeah. It's not, the intention is not really to like ultra mega research, although we do end up doing a fair amount of research sometimes for
Yeah,
our
we do.
CosmoVisions, but it's not, I mean, that's not really the intention. So did you want to talk about Tim, the other Tim? The other Tim
Tim Ballard?
in Richmond or anything like that?
Absolutely.
Knock it out
I
the park.
think let's go. I was our most recent was Maui, right? So Maui Fires.
Well,
That
that's
was our
not. We
most.
haven't had a chance to really touch on that, to be honest. I mean,
It,
I know you want to. You would like. I think that should probably be our next CosmoVision. But I mean, I know that that's something that's on. That's really on. Been on our thoughts, and we've kind of mentioned here and
yeah,
there.
uh,
We were actually
a
going to do it, but we
lot.
just got too busy.
Well, I really wanted to do it enough that I thought we did.
Ha!
I have been. It has been.
Wow, you
It
have
has
been working
been
too much.
pretty center on my radar, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I'm finding
it's hard not to
everything I
see it.
can, and the thing that for me is so very disturbing about the Maui fire, other than all the weirdness like blue houses and blah 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 that didn't burn,
Supposed
um
laser beams
and how
and
dodgy,
insane
right?
fires
How
and sorry.
the local government is super dodgy. People are.
That's being nice.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, it is being nice. Like I would not expect somebody to use this as the plot of a pretty unbelievable movie. You would expect that nobody would believe that the government could be this dodgy. In the movie, you'd be like, oh, that's a little bit overboard, don't you think? But that's how the real Maui government seems to be, so dodgy as to be unbelievable.
Well, I would not even use so much the word dodgy, but more like aggressors, like friggin' aggressive with
Dude,
their own people,
if there's
and
not an eminent domain play
well, they've already stated that there was. I mean, the
done
governor already
right.
said that. Like he's come out plainly and said that. And I didn't know that. I'm sure you know this at this point, but that governor is actually the one. I think he was like head of chief of police in the Los Angeles gunman issue when that dude broke the hotel window that was like bulletproof or something like that. He broke that window and started shooting people. He was the head of the police.
Fan flipping tastic. No, I did not know that.
Amazing.
I'm disgusted by it. I won't even mention the names of the big celebrities who are out there looking for money. Just write a check, yo. You've got the money. I'm trying to figure out if I can have milk this week.
Yeah, I mean, um, we know that there is a large rock on Maui. We also, oh,
How are you
prawns,
gonna do
oh,
that?
prawns or something like that that also are there
Fra-
in the water. So they apparently give out large quantities of dollars, or at least purport to make fundraisers, and then don't actually give that money until someone else gives it and then claims that money. What a weird, cynical thing to do.
It's just I don't know. I have a hard time seeing where where the goodness
I think
came
that they were
from
just
there.
trying to get out in front of it and like be like, oh no, we're definitely supporting the people. We're definitely supporting the people. Even though it seems like I don't know, but it really seems like there's something way more nefarious going on with these individuals
Yeah, the
at
Lahaina
very higher
people
echelons.
are not feeling well taken care of. There is
They're not being well taken care of. Did I tell you that I met somebody
not
that
at
had
all.
family there in Maui and was like incommunicado for I don't know 2 or 3 days with her boyfriend because she's from there and for some reason he had to go back and he was visiting or whatever and Yeah, I mean, it was
Oh,
like
that's so
god
hard.
awful. I met her at Chili's. Like we were eating food, and she was our waitress, and I was like, hey, is everybody okay in your family and stuff? And I mean, she just started like tearing up, man. Like it was, yeah, god awful.
That's hard.
Freaking sick.
Well, I know that
Go ahead, you continue with your
Harvest
thoughts.
Christian Fellowship on Maui is there. Greg Laurie's there at that church. It's open. They are helping people out.
Thank
So
God.
I imagine if you go to a Harvest church here on the mainland and you want to help out, I'm sure that you can do it right there through your church. And if not, if you're looking for a way to give to help, I don't know that I would go with any of the big name celebrities. But maybe see if you can go through Harvest or maybe Samaritan's Purse. They're on the ground there.
Yeah.
And I know that Mercury One is there, and that's the nonprofit that, or the philanthropic group that Glenn Beck heads up. You can go to mercury1.org and look to see if you can help. I'm sure there are other ways to help. Those are just groups that I know that are on the ground looking to really help the survivors of the Maui fires. I know that there are too many children missing, which, of course, after everything we have learned from Tim Ballard over the years, all that I can think of is that was, man, the cynical part of me, this is really what I think. I'll go ahead and say it, even though I'm kind of loath to. Was this done so that they could get a big old batch of new kids?
On somebody's Twitter post, Chuck Calesto, don't even know the guy, but I just started following because he had interesting stuff. I posted specifically from our account, Tim Ballard frequently mentions that natural disasters and war zones are prime targets for human traffickers. And
They call it the harvest.
yeah, they do. Yeah, they sure do. All sorts
And
of
there are
harvests.
an awful lot of children missing. And just everything about the way Maui was run seems to raise red flags.
Run into the ground. Freaking sickening.
Police stopping people,
From
not
leaving.
allowing cars to leave people burned to death in those cars.
They were incinerated. I mean, these people were like absolutely burned alive. Just god awful.
That right there, that infuriates me. Did
Yeah.
those police officers
They're American.
survive?
They're also American citizens, for God's sake. I mean, it's kind of unfathomable. I mean, I guess it's not. You got Waco and stuff like that, but I mean, it's still like just kind of grotesque.
Survivors are talking about, like, we got out of our car and we jumped into the ocean
Yeah,
right
well,
on the side of the road, and that's how we survived.
and a lot of people didn't survive because the amount of smoke that was coming out was just as suffocating as going under the water. So I mean,
Right.
right. 6 of one, half of a dozen of the other. When you're in a freaking
Right.
crisis like that, it's crazy.
There's something either that was the perfect storm of screw ups.
I don't give that kind of benefit of a doubt anymore.
I
just
really
can't.
don't either.
I can't.
I really don't either. You don't get that pass from me either.
What's the phrase? Don't attribute malice to what you can attribute. What's the word? You know what I'm talking about, right?
I do.
Don't attribute malice to what you
Ineptitude.
can attribute. Ineptitude, yeah, or incapacity or something like that. And then I would just add a tagline on there, except when you're going through cultural revolutions. And then it's kind of like,
Right.
yeah, not gonna believe you. Yeah, not.
I wonder
not gonna
what's
believe
on
you.
that island that they really want? How is
Real
it
estate.
strategic in some
Well,
way? I mean, I know that the real estate is worth so much money, but it seems like that it seems so paltry. Even the best some seem paltry compared to the amount of human life that was lost in this.
could it be Epstein too?
Good Lord Almighty, I truly hope not. I hope that we don't have that much capacity of monstrosity on our planet. But
Well,
maybe
you
we
and I
do.
both know that whistleblowers have come out saying that they reversed engineered alien crafts so that they could traffic people.
Right. We haven't
So
even gotten into that yet,
I won't
guys.
even put it past them. Sorry, we won't get too far into that. We are going to get into a Maui talk pretty soon here. I think this week we're going to do that.
I think very soon we are. There's just too much to get into, and of course we'll go back to a new hero of ours, Tim Ballard, and man,
Tim's a
and
great name.
there are an awful lot of
Tim
Tims
Pool,
doing
Tim
great
Ballard.
things lately. Tim
Not
Alvarino.
McVeigh.
No, he was
Not so
a
much.
uppy. He was a Timothy.
Yeah, that's right.
Although Alvarino sometimes goes by Timothy
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Did you want to hit Richmond before we move on to the?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think that we can move on to like future
It,
stuff after that.
have you guys seen all of the duets going on?
It's hard not to.
With people, I don't even know. Duet is the wrong word. They're piggybacking off of the
No, I think duetting
Oliver
is actually the right
Anthony.
term.
Well, except that there's not a whole lot of duet. They have like a little bit of it. What I think a lot of it is a lot of other artists coming forward, adding to the sentiment. You know, he did his part, but then other people are like, yeah, and here's this part from a Latino perspective, or here's this part, from this perspective, and you're not going to silence us, and we're adding our voice to his. And I love seeing that, and I saw something about him going on tour with Jason Aldean, I think it is.
Oh wow.
It just came across my feed today. I didn't look into it real deeply, but Oliver Anthony is still making waves. I think people are tired of letting our government get away with all this, and then after this Maui fiasco, even more so. I have a feeling that the 2024 election is going to be a new thing. I think it is not going to be like our other elections have been.
I don't see how it could be. In some
Nobody
ways,
has faith in the system.
No, everybody's
there,
furious.
and there's no body to have faith in. I mean, if they don't put forth some decent people, and I am neither. Yeah. Oh my gosh! If he is alive,
right? I mean, that's more of
in 2024. I will be
impressed.
Amazed.
Yeah.
Amazed.
Yeah, I think they're getting him ready to take the fall.
I think they are, but I think it sounds like maybe they're also going to have Obama in that fall, because some interesting stuff has come out about him the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's a whole story I don't even want to touch, because that's like a whole rabbit hole in itself.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not going there either. All that I can say though is when you start opening the doors, and everything they've done against Trump, they've opened some doors, and now people are walking through it the other way.
Yep.
And they're gonna find that the doors they opened on themselves as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of what the the entire Constitution was founded on, hey, let's not persecute our political opponents because it's going to come
No.
back and bite us, you know.
It will. You
It
the
is.
bar just keeps being lowered, and I'm really hoping that
Was that a political
through.
joke?
Well, I wasn't referring to Bill Barr, but I
Right,
guess
that's
it
what I was
could have
going for.
been.
The Bill
So
bar
there's
keeps getting lower
definitely.
and lower.
Oh, the Bill Barr is going around on his stomach like the serpent he
On the
is.
other hand, the Bill Maher, I very much enjoyed listening to. So, sorry.
He's
Anyway.
he's had some awakening. Bill Maher has, hasn't he?
Yeah.
It's funny to
Yeah,
watch.
he sure has. It's
pretty
funny. It's
great.
very funny when you get to a point where like the entire country like is agreeing with all these people that were like at each other's throats not even a few years
Yeah.
ago. It's very funny, man.
And they're
Very,
all
very
like,
funny.
man, I don't know. It's upside down. It's a mad world.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
Mm.
Richmond, I guess that kind of covers it, right?
Yeah, the Richmond. Yeah, I still want to. I have the hardest time with north of. I just want to say over Richmond, north of Richmond.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying seeing that. I'm curious as to what's gonna happen next.
I would also
in the political sphere.
Me too. I would also really encourage you guys. We're not going to sit here and take sides. We've gone to great lengths to explain that we are both largely independent when it comes to political factioning and stuff like that. So
we really fit in what is the new populist ideology.
Populism is really not. It's really not a particular ideology. Populism is just the idea that maybe we should support ourselves as the people. Like that's really what populism
We
is.
the people.
Right?
Huh, isn't that how it started? We the people in order to form a more perfect union.
Okay. So I was just going to say, on a non-political front, I would really, really encourage you guys to go look up Oliver Anthony's conversion story to Christianity.
Oh, so cool,
it's
right? He's a new
very,
believer.
very cool. He's so fresh. So people that are like ragging all over him, I'm like, that's your prerogative, but I would be a little bit more tepid in your criticism.
He's got a cool story. Yeah, his story. And we didn't even get in so much to his story.
I wish
he was
would
pretty
have,
pretty down on his luck, barely eking by, and
I mean, kind of like the song says.
He came to the point where he was like, "Okay, God, if you're there."
Yeah, and he has. I mean, it was his grandpa or his father that was
his grandpa.
His grandpa was
I think
pastor,
it was
right?
his grandpa was the pastor, right?
His dad, actually. I don't remember for sure, but I do know that somebody. I'm almost positive somebody in his more immediate family was a pastor or is a pastor. And
Probably.
So he was just like,
he's probably got that same story. Somebody waking up praying for him early in the morning.
Yep, that's usually how it happens, man. Prayer.
So if you aren't praying, but you've got people in your heart that you love, start praying. You bring heaven down.
Accept your prayers, by the way. So
we will. We also will gladly pray for you if you ever need prayer. You can shoot.
Well, I'll talk about that.
Slide into our DMs in any of the many ways you can reach us.
Yeah.
And we will pray for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. Man, yeah, I think it's time for us to move kind of into stuff. We're not. I don't know how much longer it's going to go on, but we're going to probably start talking about some ideas that we have coming up in the near future. I have a ginormous list, and we're just going to kind of hit some of these and talk about why they're interesting to us. Please, if you guys want to add to this conversation, shoot us an email.
Yep.
I mean, message us. Just post on our Facebook. Go for it, man. I mean, really and truly. Post on our
send us something on X.
On X, that's what I was gonna say. We're really trying to grow our Twitter, so if you would like to head over there and do that, let's keep the conversation going on Twitter. So
X.
On X, exactly. Some ideas that we've had. Obviously, we mentioned the pineal gland, enneagrams. Another one of our followers mentioned the age of innocence, which I thought was a very particular.
That's right. I forgot about that one.
I had forgotten about it too, until you were talking about it, and it came to mind. I think that would
I
be
knew
a
there
really
was
really cool
something
idea.
else.
That's a pretty philosophical
And I
episode to
think
do. To
I
be
think
honest,
we ended up having a bit of
a tift.
a
People-
Facebook conversation.
People were getting kind of like, no, which is great. I mean, that's fine. You know, it's kind of how we
Yep.
resolve these
We
things.
want
so,
conversation.
yeah.
So we'll definitely go back and read through those too and pull from them, because we want your voices to be heard as well.
Absolutely, man. So Shell and I, obviously, you know, we are not the blurry bros by any means, but we do want to talk about some cryptids because they're fascinating creatures.
We really are.
Some of these are just ones that have been coming up for me, man. That you guys you might have seen my post just here this weekend about crystal skulls. There are some legit crystal skulls, and Holly very intuitively and keenly pointed out that they tend to act as memory banks, no pun intended, as they are skulls, but they are made of crystal, which actually transmits and saves data really well. So I think that's a
As
fascinating
does a
topic.
lot of rock. I mean,
Yeah, it really does.
the-
Well, that I think really and truly, Shell, I think that crystal skulls thing is probably going to play right into the
rocks cry out.
Rocks Cry Out episode. We really
Yeah,
want to talk
most
about
definitely.
that. And I will be very honest with you guys. I'm becoming increasingly more persuaded. I won't say convinced, but definitely more persuaded that everything has life. I don't mean that everything is God. I mean, I think everything has life, rock and otherwise. There are water might play right into this one as well. I'm not sure. We might just do a whole thing on water because there's some water stuff to talk about. But water, just like rocks do, records images. If you put up an image in front of water, it will reproduce at the molecular level the image. Well, maybe not the molecular level, but at the microscopic level, the image that you are showing it. And when you have a negative occurrence, the water is disjointed. It doesn't look clear or clean. And when you have a positive image, it will accurately display this beautiful image or succession that you're showing. So really, really cool stuff there. I think that I didn't even think about it until it popped up again, but ancient trees would be really.
Who was it that sent that one?
freaking
That was
cool.
Holly too, wasn't
Holly
it?
also responded to that. I wasn't even going that route, and she just like pulled up, and she just like rode up on that bad boy.
Trees, yeah.
That's so funny. We will definitely be talking about. Well, I don't know if we've talked about doing this in particular, but I think that it probably ties right into some other stuff we're looking at. Occultism at the turn of the 20th century versus now.
Yeah.
Which will probably tie right into Nazism and the
Or
occult as well.
Nazism and the occult. Yeah, that's
And-
what I'm doing a lot of research
Yeah.
on right now.
Yeah, we'll probably do. I'm sure we'll do some episodes that are not behind the paywall, but we're going to have probably a full amount about Nazism and the occult behind the paywall, because there's a lot there, man. It's not. I've been increasingly impressed getting into that whole insane time in history in Europe, about how occultic it was. It's just unbelievable. Like, it is not even close to what history books talk about, man. It's totally the opposite.
No, I'll say one thing. I'll just put one
for it.
tiny little piece of bait out there, and that is that in Pergamum, the altar or the throne of Zeus resided for thousands of years. Jesus called it the throne of Satan. And in the end of the 1800s, very, very end, by 1930, what's that thing called? A museum, the Pergamum Museum. Google it, you'll see it right now. Was built in Germany to house that throne, and it's there in all its glory. And all this happened shortly before World War One. Just saying, one wonders if is that the
Casual topic.
Indiana Jones theme song you're humming in the background?
No, it's just like nothing to go on here. Although that would be good. I could.
It's like
it as well.
perfect right there.
Um,
But so that Pergamum Museum and the moving of the throne
the
of Satan
altar
to
of
Germany.
Satan. Good God. Yeah, that might have something to do with it.
And how come that never made it into any movie or a history book for me? I had to find that out on the internet.
They will find us out. Then they will know. They will know the truth.
Klaus said no.
They will
They
find
cannot
out
know.
about the Pergamum altars of Satan, or I mean Zeus, and they will be. They will not write that in the history books. I will make sure.
I believe that's how it happened.
Probably, yeah. Very likely, very, very likely, almost to the T. I have talked to Shell a little bit about this. I think it's a very fascinating topic. I am constantly curious about how Elohim have bodies and can come here, and if that means that we have bodies that can go there, and what the restraints are, if any. If I don't know, it's just a fascinating topic to me because
Paul
they
talked
clearly
about that.
come here and can eat and share and do and so on and so forth, and so. There's some. I mean, why would God come down and tell Nimrod, "Hey, if we don't stop these guys, nothing will be impossible for them"?
Right.
That's not a small phrase. So
Well, and Paul the Apostle says, I know of a guy who went up into the heavens. I don't know if he was in the spirit or in the body, but this thing happened.
I'm sure he was talking about Judas, not himself.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
And I mean, we don't know with John how his catching up was when he saw the revelation of Jesus at Patmos. And is it Daniel who had the coal on his lips? Said, I am a man, I'm unclean, and
I think it was it Jeremiah?
possibly.
I think it
So one of those guys
Let's find out. I'll find out.
who was taken into the throne room, and so there's some sort of physicality there, but what amount we're not sure. That's an interesting
It was
topic.
Isaiah. We were both wrong.
Was Isaiah?
I was gonna say that too, and I was like, nah, I don't think it's Isaiah, but it was. Oops. Yeah.
Isaiah. Well, so there are a few we could choose from who have gone into the heavenly realms.
Mm-hmm.
And how much physicality there was, we don't know. But
yeah, it's a baffling topic. But really, Timothy Alberino got me thinking about it when he said, "What's the difference between the kingdom of heaven and the kingdom of earth?" Uh, uh, yeah. I mean, and I'm not so convinced anymore that it's not a physical place. I mean, I don't see why not. The Word of God tells us that we're going to have physical bodies when we are on the other side. It doesn't
Oh,
say that
if
we're going to be
the
these
kingdom of
disembodied
heaven
spirits,
is a physical
because that
place, of
would be
course it is.
demons. It would be demons. And we're not demons. So, you know.
Um, it's interesting. I guess they didn't realize that demons are the only
Yep.
entity without the ability to have a body
Which makes you
any
wonder
longer.
if
Ooh, man.
if those that are thrown if those that are thrown into hell, does that mean that they are disembodied as well? Maybe that's exactly what that means.
So that must feel really, really awful then if that's the case.
Which would make sense in light of poltergeists and stuff like that.
Interesting. Oh, we're gonna have to look into
Ghosts.
that
Oh my
more.
gosh, we
Wow.
haven't even ghosts.
We haven't
We'll
talked about
definitely-
ghosts. We really
Not really.
probably we have a tiny, tiny bit, but yeah, just
really.
axillarily.
I mean, we have some explanation or some I wouldn't call them anecdotal, but we have some occurrences in the Bible where that happened. You know, where
Right.
yeah. Let's see. Potentially, I think at some point, Shell and I want to go through the tribes of the Nephilim. I think that would be very cool.
As Danny and I are reading through the Bible together, this poor man, because naturally you start in Genesis, right? And I'm like, oh, babe, those are Nephilim. Oh, those are also Nephilim tribes.
Yeah.
I think all of these guys right here are all tribes that have Nephilim DNA in them. Yeah, my husband is wonderful, but he doesn't get to have like a normal Bible study with this lady. It
Well,
does not happen.
what you call abnormal, the ancients called commonplace. So-
True. That is true.
Ooh, that's a cool caption.
That is true.
I'm gonna caption that. What we call weird, the ancients called. Totally gonna call it called commonplace. Other
Common
thoughts?
knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, just another day. I mean, that's really we've talked about this before, right? That I've told you about missionaries or people that grow up in India. That they'll see like demons flying around their house and they're like, yeah, freaking things, whatever. Get out of here,
Right. Can you imagine in America? Oh, people are gonna lose their minds.
Yeah, we'll go with mind. I think they're gonna lose something else. But, I am interested in this. Shella wants to talk about, water memory, thin places. I think those go hand in hand. We were gonna try and do it this week, but we opted for what we're doing now. But I think in the coming weeks, if not the next CTDW, we're probably gonna look at what the Bible actually tells us about subterranean places, because there's a lot to be said there. I was literally just reading something new in Unseen Realm today, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that about the Earth. Interesting. We eventually want to get into secret societies and Freemasonry and stuff like that. We're gonna.
We do, and that
get
is
some
something
preparation
that
under our belt.
I know very little about.
It's such a big topic.
It's weird though, because
Yeah, well, it's a secret society.
on one side of my family, my grandfather belonged to the Freemasons, and my grandmother was an Eastern Star.
Wow.
Right? My mom never got into it, and for me, it's always been occultic. So
Yeah.
And like I've been in some places, some lodges,
Really?
Masonic lodges. Yeah, well, the Shriners is right next to
Yeah, yeah.
Bethel,
Oh, that's
so
true. Yeah, we have for your
and
church has a my old church has a Mason lodge right next to it.
right next door. And I helped do a clean out of some like truly Masonic lodge, like where they met, and you walk in and you're like,
Mm.
and it was something else. That it was a yucky feel.
Yeah, I
I didn't
bet,
like
dude.
it at all.
Yeah, no.
But it's something that I don't know a whole lot about, and I need to find out more for
Yeah.
sure, because
Yeah.
there seems to be something. So
Yeah, for sure. Holy moly, there's definitely something. I guess just a few of the other ones here. We want to talk about music with alpha and beta waves, how that affects the mind. Sound in general will probably just kind of sneak its way into that because there's
right, it will for
crap ton of
sure,
stuff to talk about
for
there.
sure.
And then, Shell, you're reading a book that you and I are both reading, or I've read one, and you're reading one right now, and we're going to do a book swap, which you were talking about a while ago,
We sure are.
that you're reading called Pagan Christianity.
I
And
am.
I've read one called The Christian Left. And I would say largely they kind of coincide in different ways, but just kind of the worship of, frankly, the worship of society, government, and culture is what it kind of sounds like to me. And that's kind of what you're talking about, like pagan Christianity. When you said that, I was like, it kind of sounds like it's on the same, along the same
Well,
lines.
that's this book by Viola. It's Frank Viola is the main author. It talks
book, by the way.
a lot about the pagan roots of modern Christian practices, like the thing of going to church.
Oh, yeah.
Paul would not have known what going to church was. Paul
You
said,
mean-
"We are the
You mean
church."
this thing?
Right.
Right here?
That's what he would have said. "Hey, Paul, let's go to church." And you'd have been like, "I'm the church. You're the church, aren't?" Here we are. We're at church.
Hey, Paul, let's go to church. Do you want to come to my place, or I go to your place? What are we doing, dude? Right. That's funny.
But just, how the table was replaced with the altar, and then the altar was replaced with the pulpit.
Mm.
And
that
the
is very
difference
interesting.
between the way the first church
Maybe they're not
did
quite
church and the way we
Yes.
do church, and why I think, and they haven't even said this part that I just intuit it, but why we're so dissatisfied with church, why church is such a trial to go to, why it's so difficult to feel like it's the
belong
thing,
anywhere.
and why your pastor like gives an amazing sermon and it should be life changing, but really 3 hours later and all of the ooh and ahs totally gone, and it's
Substituted for the
likely,
football game.
right, it's very likely that most of what he talked about is gone. And it's not that it wasn't
Yeah, man.
spirit led or whatever. It's that being lectured doesn't work to alter life.
Yeah.
If it did, then every college student would have epiphanies 4 times a day.
Yeah.
Or at least
Yeah.
twice a week, It's a good book.
That's cool.
I'm definitely about sharing it. Guys, another thing we are working on, and it turns out it's a little bit more labor intensive than I remembered it being. We are doing a newsletter. And one of the things that we want to have in the newsletter is all of the majority of our sources and resources for our episodes.
Yeah.
So that you can go and do a deep dive and research on your own, because it's all well and fine to trust us. We seem like, I don't know what we seem like to people.
Trustworthy individuals.
I guess
I
we
hope.
seem like we know a lot. It doesn't take
No,
it
we
doesn't
don't.
take very
I
long for
definitely don't know a
people to
whole
be
lot.
like, how do you know these things? I have new people at my job, and they have come to realize that I'm that person who knows the stuff,
Yeah.
just the whatever stuff, the stuff about stuff, and they're like, how do you know these things? Well, you see,
to
when
be
I was
weird.
7, I started memorizing the Word of God, and so knowledge comes easily to me because of that. But it's like but you can take us at our word, because we are trustworthy people. I know I'm trustworthy. I know Ricky's trustworthy. We know that we can be trusted. But we don't want you to trust us wholeheartedly like that. We want you to test what we're saying, because that's what God's word tells us to do, to test every spirit. So we want you to test what we have to say. Rest assured, we're very careful, because we know that we will give an account for everything we say.
Scrutinize. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. Make sure
Good word. Heck yes.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's good that you mentioned the newsletter. But before I do get into anything else like that, I don't have anything else really for me to touch on. We're gonna leave this one, I think, just open ended. There's no extra content. We're just really fleshing stuff out, and man, I'm blown away at how much content we have produced in these past 8.5 months. It's kind of mind-boggling, and I often come up against a wall feeling like, crap, there's nothing else for me to say. I don't have anything else, blah. But God is good. God is good, man. He has given us the four dragon ability, and things kind of, I'm blown away, like how much, now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, I've like learned a lot of stuff this year, a lot of stuff, and been able to share that with you guys. And so thanks for coming along for the ride. I hope you guys have been enjoying it. Shell, do you want to say anything else before I kind of give closing thoughts?
I don't think so. I think we got all the things. Bear with us as we get that newsletter together. That is for our Patreon supporters. But you know what? If you said, hey, Ricky and Shelly, I'd really like to get a copy of this one. Yeah, I know what my response would be. Well, send me your email and I'll send it to you right now.
Certainly.
You know?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And you know, I'm working out that system, because since we did originally have Patreon, and I don't want to just blow Patreon off. It's a little bit more work, but you know, you guys are worth it. So if you guys decide to sign up there, that's fine too. You know, whatever works easiest for you. But just to be clear, anybody can sign up for the newsletter. But obviously, you know, if you want behind the paywall stuff all the time, obviously, you know, you sign up. But anybody can get the newsletter for free, and it's something we're working on. We're teasing out the details, because Shell brought some stuff to my attention. She's working on that, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's a good point. So it's supposed to be kind of what we're talking about at the moment, and then also what's coming down the pipeline. Just so you guys can know, which we talk about, you know, to some extent here. But guys, I guess just I would close this out with some quick announcements, just like church. Just kidding. No,
it's funny. My dogs know we're wrapping up. My voice must change or something, because they start waking up from laying in the office.
Oh, that's crazy. Animals are so cool. We are working on our merchandise. If you guys want to, please head over to Facebook and vote for your favorite option. If you click on the it's posted to our Facebook, But if you like scroll over just to the next one that's posted there as well, it's got all the designs. You can click on them and see the name of them. I couldn't post. Well, I did post in the original poll. If you go and look through and find our poll in the actual feed, at the very top of it, you can click the merch ideas, and it's got each example, its name, and all that good jazz. So go and vote for that. The top 3 are going to be the ones that we decide to roll with. What else? Newsletter, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I've given you guys some feedback. Our last episode will drop December 17th of this year, and we will be on vacation. We will be taking a hiatus for the month for the last 2 weeks of December. So we probably won't have any content until like early January, mid-January, somewhere around there. It's going to be almost a month that we'll just kind of be on a bit of a hiatus, just because,
for
spend
the
time
holidays,
with your family.
Rick will be traveling to Mexico.
Pray for
So
me so I can find tickets that are freaking not crazy expensive, because
Matter of
I got
fact-
stuff to do for the podcast, man, that I'm super stoked about, and I think it's gonna be really good. And yeah, just keep praying for us, guys. We're hoping this coming year to get into a lot of those topics, but also to really start having some guests on, and move in that direction. Yep. So,
and
All
if
right,
you
y'all,
ever
let you
want
finish it
to
out.
be part of this, then let us know.
yeah, absolutely.
We are all about being gosh, what's the word I want? Interactive. That's
Collaborative.
the word I want. Oh, collaborative is good too. But we definitely want your input. We
Feedback.
are super loving the conversations going on. They're awesome. It's an
Korean
honor
heart.
and a joy. The Korean heart. That's right. I forgot about it.
That's right. Or like the Koreans do, you can get a love sandwich. I know, it's cheesy. My wife's been watching too much freaking K-pop stuff, man. Like, she's watching
Oh, no.
K-dramas and I'm like, it's too much.
No, when we go to eat Korean, which we do frequently, and they've got the K-pop TV on, I'm just like, oh my goodness gracious, really?
I want your food, not your pop.
True. I don't even want American pop. True.
Yeah, true. I mean, I guess it's a little bit more palatable because I don't live there, so. But
It all just seems so, I don't know, everything I see seems so juvenile and
that's funny
cuteness,
that you mentioned that.
and I don't like cuteness at all.
It's so funny that you mentioned that, because actually that exact same thing that you just mentioned, when I was in Taiwan, there at the college, one of the teachers was mentioning, hey, if you guys notice that your language partners seem very infantile, you have to remember that all they do is study and like play sports and stuff until, like, basically they just study their brains out until they're like 22 or 23. So if your colleagues, your buddies seem a little bit infantile from Taiwan, that's probably why. And that's, I think that's largely kind of the Asian assembly line kind of for kiddos in a lot of East Asia. Yeah. Yep. So
No,
makes sense.
For
Makes sense
me,
you
it's
feel that way.
that whole girls in teeny tiny little skirts emulating a young child, but also a rampant sexuality that gets me, and the guys don't seem any different.
Fun fact.
Yes.
In Japan, cleavage is seen as way more unacceptable than showing a little bit of your butt.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't
Showing
that
the butt is a
interesting?
little bit more
I
normal
guess
than
because
the other.
everybody has a butt, but
And we all do have butts. That's true. I mean, if dudes get fat enough, they also have boobs. So I guess there's that. Sorry.
oh my gosh.
Sorry. Sorry about that.
Anybody can have cleavage.
Stupid conversations. It's 1 a.m. Give me a break, guys.
It
I'm
is.
sorry.
It is late.
Oh, man, that's
It's
funny stuff.
true. Oh,
Good thing I
work will be
control.
here in no time at all.
That's right. Good thing I control the power of who makes clips and who doesn't.
I'm really glad I work from home in the morning. I don't have to do
That's awesome, dude.
anything but get up and brush my teeth and
Yeah. Sheesh, right?
come sit at my desk.
Well,
Thankfully. Guys,
sorry.
hopefully you are excited about what's coming our way. And hopefully you go back and
Revisit
find
some of
any
these.
episode you have missed or any that you've been like, oh, I missed that. I need to go back and
Oh, I
see
didn't know
what they
about
meant
that.
with that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We are so glad you're along with us on this
Totally,
trek.
man. Through the desert.
And right, and as we sojourn on this place, as we wait for the return of our Messiah,
Amen, man.
which should be soon. I have heard a lot of stirrings about
We have
the building of
episodes,
the third temple. Have you heard anything about that? 37. Wow.
It's impressive, right? Some of those are behind the paywall, but still, it's a lot. Have I heard any stirrings about that? Yes, vaguely. Not a ton of information, but yeah, I know it's kind of like an undercurrent in everybody's kind of
It seems to be
societal and
more so
religious
this week.
worldview.
Yeah, that there's stuff. I think I sent you a video through X
Are you
of
talking about the dude that was talking about
Amir Tafiti.
Pergamum, precisely the altar there?
Oh, was he talking about Pergamum?
I think he mentioned it.
Amir,
right?
yeah, Amir. The EU is ready for the Antichrist. Oh, so maybe
Yep.
he didn't talk about the rebuilding of the temple, the
He
building.
might
of the
have. He
third
might have
temple.
touched on it. I didn't finish. I only got about halfway through that video.
I only did too. So, but somebody, it's just been coming across my feeds lately. People expecting it to happen soon, and maybe it's because of the red heifers, because
right.
I think they're getting on to
that
their
makes
second
sense.
year, so there's only one more year
Crazy,
to know
man.
if they're good for
Crazy
the
stuff.
purification. So
Crazy stuff, man.
it's kind of cool, but it just seemed like this week it has been
Came to a head,
more
huh?
in my feeds. Yeah, so
Yeah,
just wondering if you saw it too.
a little bit. Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, we won't keep you any longer. Rick, anything else, or we'll just
Nope.
give the blessing?
I'll give the blessing. Let's do it.
All
The Lord
right.
bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Blessings. Shalom.
Amen.
And Maranatha.
Maranatha, guys. Good night. Thanks for being with us. We'll talk soon.
See you around. Thank you for watching this episode of The Christian Theological Dark Web. For questions or comments, please email us at thechristiantheologicaldarkweb@gmail.com. If you'd like to support us, please look for the Patreon link in the description. This has been another production of CTDW Studios. Thank you, and God bless.